touch of frost up across the far north of Scotland, where the skies remain a little bit clearer. So moving into Monday morning across Scotland, a very different start to the day than what we have seen over the weekend, but still maybe some sunshine around across the very far north, but plenty of cloud and some outbreaks of rain too. A few glimmers of sunshine still for the far east and Northern Ireland, but again plenty of cloud here, and a rather grey start for England and Wales, with again some mist and murk in places. However, as we go through the course of the day, I'm a little bit more optimistic. We'll see this cloud begin to break up a little bit, especially across East Anglia and southeastern England during the course of the afternoon. But for most of us, it will be rather grey. Maybe some late sunshine just appearing for the far northwest of Scotland. But for most of us, temperatures into double figures. And if we do see the sunshine across the far southeast, we could see highs of 16 or 17 degrees. So repeat performance on Tuesday. Again, lots of cloud around, but that cloud will break up a little bit during the course of the day, especially across England and Wales. Scotland and Northern Ireland, rather cloudy with some outbreaks of rain through much of the day, but again, a fairly mild day. And then, as I mentioned, it turns out much more unsettled from Wednesday onwards, but in between the spells of rain, we will see some sunshine at times and temperatures near average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Have you learned nothing, Mr. Blair? That's the front page of the Mirror. Clearly, they're backing the Prime Minister. The Metro is saying, your Supreme Leader, it's a death sentence. That's because a new Supreme Leader of Iran has been named. How long do you give him, realistically? Because I don't give him very long. And some other interesting news here. 1 in 5 £1 million homes sold for a loss last year. And loads of other really interesting stuff, including International Women's Day. What do you think, Keir Starmer said? That's next.
It's a prize package worth over £92,000. There's a totally tax-free £25,000 in cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like this year. Plus, you'll also get to drive away in a brand new Benevan 122 camper van. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this latest 2026 model comes fully loaded with everything you'd expect. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 11 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is Alex Armstrong Tonight's Late Edition.
The United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead.
He's also launched Epic Fury on Keir Starmer on Truth Social, hasn't he? It's raised serious questions about Britain's foreign policy, and we're asking, in so of the Daily Express, is the special relationship dead? And
By the way, I'm not happy with the UK either, so we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
how far have we fallen between Bush and Blair, with President Trump telling Keir Starmer, of course, we will remember, and
America has no truer friend than Great Britain. Once again, we are joined together in a great cause. So honored the British Prime Minister has crossed an ocean to show his unity.
There was Blair and Bush and Thatcher and Reagan. Now we've got Keir and Trump. What a disaster. Also on the show.
Look at that. Literally directly above us.
Well, a British family says they've been stranded in the Middle East after what they describe as serious errors by the Foreign Office. How did the system fail them so badly? And what do you think's happening here? Yes, we'll bring all of that to you very, very shortly. And joining me this evening, former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley, GB News comedian and contributor Paul Cox, and former Labour advisor Aisha Ali Khan. Before we get stuck into today's headlines, and there's plenty to get into, we're going to get your headline news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thanks, Alex. Good evening to you. Our headlines. Iran has chosen Mojtaba Khamenei to succeed his father as the country's new supreme leader. Mojtaba, a mid-ranking cleric with close ties to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, was selected by Iran's 88-member Assembly of Experts. The 56-year-old has never held government office. His father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed at his compound in Tehran in the first wave of US and Israeli strikes last weekend. President Trump, who's previously dismissed Mojtaba as a weak lightweight who'd be an unacceptable choice, earlier today warned Iran's new leader is not going to last long without his approval. The Israelis have vowed to pursue whoever is named as a successor. Sir Keir Starmer and Donald Trump have spoken for the first time since the US president criticised Britain's contribution to the war. Downing Street says they discussed military cooperation, including the use by the US of RAF bases. The phone call came hours after President Trump accused the Prime Minister of trying to join wars that have already been won, and he called the UK our once great ally. Meanwhile, 2 more American aircraft landed at RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire for rearming earlier today. The UK is also preparing to send an aircraft carrier to the region. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Defence has confirmed British jets shot down an attack drone fired from Iran towards Iraq last night. Israel's military says it's launched another series of wide-scale strikes against targets across Iran. Fuel depots were hit in Tehran and Karaj, west of the capital, earlier, with fires continuing to burn at its Shahjan facility amid reports of acid rain falling as a result. The IDF says it's killed 5 senior Iranian commanders responsible for funding and directing Hezbollah in a strike on the Ramada Hotel in the Lebanese capital Beirut today. Meanwhile, Iran continued to fire missiles and drones into neighbouring countries. Authorities in Kuwait say 2 officials were killed when a tower block was hit during a suspected drone attack on fuel storage tanks at the international airport. And the Saudi Civil Defence has reported 2 people have died there after a projectile hit a residential area near Riyadh. A 7th US soldier has also been confirmed dead after sustaining injuries during Iran's initial attacks. Away from the conflict in the Middle East, train passengers facing major disruption after a major fire near Glasgow Central Station. Dozens of services have since been cancelled. National Rail says the station will be closed until further notice and will not reopen tomorrow. The fire broke out at a vape shop on Union Street, just next door to the station, before 4 o'clock this afternoon. Emergency crews are still there tackling the blaze. Dozens of trains have been cancelled, and National Rail say the station will be closed, as I mentioned, into tomorrow morning. And Police Scotland have condemned the behaviour of some supporters as shameful after they clash on the pitch after Celtic knocked Rangers out of the Scottish Cup at Ibrox. Dozens of Celtic supporters spilled onto the field after they won the quarter-final tie 4-2 on penalties following a goalless draw. And now that sparked an invasion from hundreds of Rangers supporters, with police and stewards moving in to form a barrier on the pitch. It was the first time since 2018 that Celtic had been given the full allocation of 7,500 fans in the away end. Finally, a Clumber Spaniel's been crowned best in show at the Crufts Dog Show in Birmingham. 4-year-old Brune beat 18,000 other dogs from around the world to claim the top honour on Sunday. Brune, handled by Lee Cox, was the winner of the Gun Dog group earlier in the event. Those are your headlines. That's it for the moment. Now it's over to Alex.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. Shall we dive into the front pages? Let's start with The Independent. Iran war threatens to bring energy crisis to the UK. The Metro, your supreme leader, it's a death sentence. The Guardian, fears global economy grow as Iran threatens oil facilities. The iPaper, Easter holidays at risk as fallout from the Middle East spreads. Of course, that war is touching everybody, particularly flights. The Daily Express, incompetent Starmer is killing the special relationship. Yeah, we spoke about this earlier on the show, but I'm keen to touch on it again to see what Paul and the panel think about that. The Daily Mail, Starmer's humbling phone call to Trump. Yeah, do you think it was humbling, or do you think it was more like pandering and sort of saying sorry a lot? The Times, Ayatollah's son chosen in challenge to Trump. That's because, of course, Donald Trump said he wanted to be picking the next leader of Iran. The Telegraph is the same story. Defines Iran turns to Khamenei's son. The Sun, evil killer is the person I will name there. The final letter. And leading the GBnews.com website tonight, train driver rewarded with Walk of Fame star at station after saving the life of a pedestrian. And Keir Starmer speaks with Donald Trump after the United States president's blistering attack on the PM. Huge fire has also broken out near Glasgow railway station as crews are still tackling the blaze in the city. And I've got a fantastic panel tonight. Former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley's back, GB News contributor and comedian Paul Cox, and former Labour advisor Aisha Ali Khan. Should we talk about this phone call between Donald Trump and Keir Starmer? I just can't imagine how it went, Paul. How do you think that went down?
Sorry, mate. My leg is killing me, but it's hard, isn't it, being on the telly, even though I'm a big superstar.
It is.
Cost of living's a lot. I was trying to nick some beers out of the Co-op last night, and this old fella tripped me up on the way out, and you should have heard the words he said to me. You should have heard the words he said to me.
No, you didn't, because that fella outran me. And even
good point.
And I'll catch you.
Yes, you would do, Peter.
Very good. Paul's a big fan of the show. Clearly he's watching. And if any of you weren't watching, it's too late. You should have joined in earlier, as Nana and Queer would have told you.
I can imagine. Let me take
I was worried about you for a second.
Yeah, I know you you were. I could see the look on your face. What? I put my trust in you, Paul. What are you going to do?
Get him off TV, quick. Go on. What did you think that phone call between Starmer sounded like?
Do you know what? I'd absolutely love to hear those phone calls. Just genuinely, anyway. I think they'd be absolutely fascinating. But how does someone like Keir Starmer talk to someone like Donald Trump? Because Keir Starmer seems to have no idea of what he believes in. So how can a man like that lead anything? He can't. So how could he, on a phone call, describe to Donald Trump why he's taken the position he has? Because the only thing he can actually say is the truth, which is, I didn't make this decision, sir. Somebody else made it for me, and I went along with it. Because that's exactly what happened. Not Peter Mandelson. Ed Miliband made the decision. And as a result, they've really damaged the special relationship. There's no two ways about it. This isn't the sort of thing that is damaged forever, because obviously prime ministers and presidents change, but they're not going to forget this. Donald Trump will never forget this, but the US are never going to forget this.
Well, he did actually say in his Truth Social post, "We will remember," and he was saying it plurally as well. Not just "I will remember," "we will remember." He was talking in his language, at least on behalf of the American people. Peter, a very bad time for Britain at the moment, it seems. We seem to be stumbling from one disaster domestically and now internationally as well.
But we're used to it by now. How long have we had with Starmer and this rabble?
Good point.
I bet Donald Trump left him on hold for ages. I bet he probably went and had a round of golf right before he took Starmer's call. Who is it? Who is it? Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Completely bad. He's no statesman at all. He's clearly no negotiator. You know, this is a Prime Minister who was a civil servant and a human rights lawyer. Like, what kind of prep is that for leading a country? It's not, is it? And he was elected on a protest vote against the lamentable Tories, and this is what we've got. And unless there's some dramatic kind of turn of events, we might be stuck with him for another couple of years or more. I mean, perish the thought.
This is the thing, Aisha, is that, you know, I said this online and people didn't realise I was putting this in air quotes, because I'm not saying I said it. I definitely didn't say it. The press did at one point say the Prime Minister is a statesman and the leader on the world stage, which was how he was heralded for a very long time. And also, you know, the press was saying he handles Donald Trump so well. He's so great. You've even got the former party leader, Tony Blair, who Starmer looks up to, as far as we can tell, at least anyway, putting a knife in his back too on his failure to do this. Mark Carney backed Trump. Anthony Albanese of Australia backed Trump. Two people, sort of similar politics, and didn't manage it.
Well, I think Keir Starmer has taken the stance that this is not what the British public have voted for, and right now we don't know if this war is legal or not, so he's taken a step back and we're waiting to see how things unfold. But, you know, people talk about the special relationship. I have seen Trump and Starmer together, and what I noticed was, for Trump, it's only a special relationship as long as it's his way and only his way. And when we talk about special relationships, the implication is there that it's a two-way street, there's mutual understanding, there's going to be communications. But in this case, no, Trump has decided he's going to do something and he expects everybody to follow his lead. And, I mean, Keir said, no, I'm not going to. And I am really pleased with that, actually. I'm pleased we're taking a step back, we're seeing how things unfold. And this war could easily spiral. Look at all these headlines. We're talking about barrels going up to $100 plus. We're talking about fuel prices. This could spiral out of control. And that's going to impact all of us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But Peter, the problem is we haven't actually got involved in this war. So either way, the war was going to happen.
Should Iran be allowed to have nuclear missiles?
No, not with the people, not with the regime in power right now, no.
Right, so then it's fine to bomb them to ensure they never have that capacity,
but
right?
Peter, when you talk
well, it is,
about
as far
bombing,
as I'm concerned.
You're literally saying it's OK for normal Iranian people who do not support the regime to be murdered, to be killed with airstrikes.
Collateral damage. Collateral damage.
It's
Iran have exported murder, bloodshed, terrorism around the world, and they are trying to export it to the streets of the UK. They are a murderous, terrorist regime.
The regime, yes.
Yeah,
but
and
the
its
people that are
and
paying
all the people that work for it.
the Iranian people that are being bombed. Girls have been killed. Over 160 girls were killed in a school. That's, I mean, collateral damage is appalling.
It's collateral damage, and it's unfortunate, but rather that than Iran has a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, the reality, and it's horrible that innocent people always die in war. But the reality, Paul, indeed, is that more people will be reportedly killed by the Ayatollah's brutal regime than have so far been killed in this bombing campaign, as far as we're aware.
Yeah, look, you don't have to be a war hawk to understand that Keir Starmer, as the US's greatest ally, had a role to play in being incredibly more supportive than he was, because he didn't even have to say that he would go on the offensive with Donald Trump. All he had to say was, yes, you can have access, as our closest ally, to our air bases, and we are going to monitor how things are going. Keir Starmer did not say really why he wasn't going to do it. He never really did. And the reason he didn't is because it was just pure cowardice. I can understand the argument about the legality. I can understand it based on what we saw with Iraq back earlier this century. But for my money, Peter's right. It's squeamish to talk about. There is collateral damage. But if we take it away from that just for a moment, what we're talking about is the special relationship. This relationship isn't between Trump and Starmer. These are personalities. This is a 200-year, 300-year relationship, which has stood the test of time. And one of the reasons it stood the test of time is because they are our brothers in arms. And you have to look at who else you would side with. You're not going to side with Europe. This dying entity of Europe without its own military. You are going to side with the US. Now, you're not going to blindly follow in to absolutely every war, but that's not what was really asked of Keir Starmer. What was asked of Keir Starmer in the very early moments of this war is, will you allow us access to your air bases? And he said no. And for me, that was sacrilege.
Yeah, Peter, this is the thing, isn't it? Because as much as I disagree with Tony Blair on pretty much everything, a broken clock is right twice a day, isn't it? And as he said, when your greatest ally is the cornerstone of your security, you better show up. Those were his words.
Yeah, it's kind of an equivalent of driving an electric car, going to somebody's house and saying, can I borrow your electric charging point? That's all I want to do. And they refusing you that access. It's such a minor part, but it's so typical of the legalese of lawyers, you see. Lawyers will always find something to fight about within the law because that's how they get paid. By testing laws, by challenging them, by arguing them.
Yeah.
Whether it be in court or via letters and emails and the such like. And so Hermer's interpretation, fully backed by Starmer, is that we can't support this.
Yeah, this is it. This is the Downing Street spokesperson about this call has said the leaders began by discussing the latest situation in the Middle East and the military cooperation between the UK and US throughout the use of RAF bases in support of the collective self-defence. Interesting change of tone now. The collective self-defence of partners in the region. So this, by all accounts, is a massive U-turn by Keir Starmer. I can imagine that call wasn't very nice for the Prime Minister. And Lord Richard Donat has told us here at GB News before, I shall put this to you, he said to us, they need us, we need them. Keir Starmer is standing on a narrow legal point and has ruined that relationship. And that's the point. Peter's correct. He's a lawyer, not a leader.
So, obviously, a week ago when this offensive started, when the strikes started, we had no idea the retaliation, how extreme and how vast it was going to be. And, I mean, the idea that we'll just bomb the leaders and that's it, there's going to be no comeback, and suddenly there'll be, you know, people cheering in the streets and saying, yes, we're going to get a new government in place. That was so naive, and I can't believe we've not learnt these lessons from Iraq, which obviously you've pointed out. But going back to the reaction of Iran, it's going to carry on. They've got nothing to lose now. They're like cornered animals. They are bombing Dubai, they're bombing Bahrain, they're bombing Kuwait, and everybody's at risk. And this is why Peter, you asked me earlier whether I supported the regime. Of course not. Of course I want to see them gone. I'm sickened. I'm sickened with the images that came out, you know, back in January of people being slaughtered, defenceless citizens, Iranian citizens slaughtered, protesters.
Please give us your proposal for regime change.
If you want that to change, you've got to answer what Peter's asking you, which is how would you propose that changes? Because under international law, there are clauses that you can go and defend innocent people. I think 50,000.
But then why haven't we gone in to defend the?
You're still not answering the question, Aisha.
Why are we? I mean, you asked me a different question earlier. We're talking about obviously people being slaughtered, etc., etc. But look what's happening in Afghanistan. Look, the Taliban came back, and women aren't even allowed to go to school. They're not allowed to.
You're fundamentally dodging the question. How would you suggest the regime is changed in Iran?
I'm not going to sit here and say I have all the answers. What I don't want to see is the regime being bombed and people hardened in support of the regime. OK? That is going to make it even harder to remove the regime as we're going to see the next 50-odd years. People are not going to... They're going to basically support the regime, and it's going to be even harder to see a different, a free Iran. That's, you know, not going to happen in my lifetime now.
Paul, have we really messed this up? Big time. As I was saying to Danica earlier on the show, Sky News Australia presenter, I said that, you know, Anthony Albanese, Australia, a left, centre-left, as they would call themselves, sort of person, best mates with Keir Starmer, Mark Carney, former Bank of England general, and Keir Starmer, all on different pages here. Those two guys said, actually, we're going to back you, because they knew, even though Trump had been calling Mark Carney his governor, you know, 51st state and belittling them, he still supported Donald Trump because he knew this is the fatal mistake to make.
Well, absolutely. It goes back to the point I was making earlier. When it comes down to it, you know, when you're on the precipice of war like this, you know whose side you're on. It doesn't matter if you're the Canadian Prime Minister and the American President has given you a bit of lip. You know whose side you're on. It doesn't matter if you're a leftist Australian politician and you're no fan of Donald Trump. You know whose side you're on. The Iranian regime is the head of a snake which funds and sponsors nearly all Islamic terrorism throughout the globe. We have cells within London, across Great Britain. We have the IRGC here. We have protesters on the streets of London chanting death to England just this weekend. The reason that we're trying to do something to stop this is because this is trying to undo generations. I was born the year the regime came to power in Iran, 1979, and my whole life has kind of been overshadowed by that regime. I actually had mates at school that their families had fled Iran in the early 80s and grew up where I grew up, near Portsmouth. And we have to do something. Look, it doesn't matter which way you look at life, whether you're spiritual, whether you're not spiritual, whether religious, whatever your cultural background is, we know what good and evil is. And we are making a choice between good and evil. And I think that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. And I know it's Donald Trump. And I know there are people dying. But at the end of the day, in order to be kind to the rest of the world, we are going to have to do something to rid them of this evil.
Certainly seems that way to me, Paul. But I know there's going to be many people that will disagree. Many people in Britain don't want another war. I understand that. However, I think this circumstance, if I would be a hypocrite if I said I don't want to get rid of the most evil Islamist regime when I sit here and tell you how much of a danger Islamism is to our country. So that is why it gets my wholehearted support. Anyway, bit of a change of tone here, because we've got a Great British giveaway now. It's a brand new camper van worth 6-7 grand, 25k in tax-free cash. Here's all the details.
It's a prize package worth over £92,000, and it could be all yours in our very latest Great British giveaway. There's a totally tax-free £25,000 in cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like this year. Plus, you'll also get to drive away in a brand new Benevan 122 camper van. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this latest 2026 model comes fully loaded with everything you'd expect. You can even drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, Plus, it comfortably sleeps 4 people. Make sure you don't miss out on the biggest prize package of the year so far. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, coming up, what do you think? Do you think we're overlooking the most powerful political group in the country? Dog owners. That's next.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We have a couple of days of training before the opening ceremony starts, and then as soon as that finished, we packed up all our bags and we left for Germany. So we went out of the village for like 4 or 5 days.
Did you? Right.
Yeah. So we have a bit of a training camp away from that, so we can get some better food and a bit of a better routine instead of having all the distractions around the Olympics. And then we came back in ready for our official training.
So the food wasn't so great in the Olympic Village? Is this what we're getting from this?
It wasn't for me, no.
Okay.
It was okay. I lost a decent amount of weight during the time there, but some people enjoyed it, other people struggled. But it's just the same thing every day for a 3-week period. It gets a bit monotonous.
Now, let's see, 2-man bob and 4-man bob. It was 7th in the end for you, and you did us proud, and we always love to see you and see you representing your country, and you do a great job. But the Germans, I mean, we were talking about this Monday or Tuesday, and Ellie was saying to me, why is it? So how is it that the Germans are so good at bobsleigh? I know you've had wins against them, but it's just this domination. Why is it? I'm saying it's the Vorsprung Dirk Technik maybe of the bob, or is it the athletes? What is it about the Germans?
There's a combination of everything. So they run their program very, very well. So they have a lot of funding that comes in, and they have 4 of their own tracks. They have the push tracks where you practice physically and push in the summer. They have probably 15 or 20 of those dotted around the country when we only have 1. So they do everything to the best of their ability. So they maximise absolutely everything. So that's why they're so good. So we do pretty well considering what we have available to us. But it's still we're up against it when we go against the Germans. But they do everything phenomenally well.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB Loyalty Points is here. They're our way of saying thank you for spending time with GB News. Through commenting on your say, voting in You Decide polls and shaping the debate, you can earn GB Loyalty Points. Unlock rewards, reach milestones and climb leaderboards. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be part of them. Get started by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/loyalty points.
Do you think Britain might be overlooking a powerful political group? Dog owners. More than a third of UK adults own a dog, and some argue politicians could win votes by courting them a little bit more. Take the French city of Albi. for example, candidates have proposed canine-friendly policies like shared human-dog drinking fountains to win over voters. Oh, I don't know about that one. Hopefully not the same tap. Anyway, as Crufts, of course, has reached its finale tonight, could Britain's dog lovers be more politically influential than we realise? Right. We've got Reform UK's policing and crime advisor, Colin Sutton, joining me. Colin, is it congratulations in order for you tonight, sir?
We got a second and a third, which wasn't quite as good as last year, but you know, you come away from Crufts with the rosettes and you're happy.
I love to see. Congratulations, Colin. Well, tell us about Crufts. Why should politicians take note?
Well, we are a nation of animal lovers and particularly dog lovers, and there are, 18,000 dogs taken to Crufts. There are God knows how many thousands of people go through. It's a real dog fest, and dog owners care about other people. They care about their animals. They talk to each other. There is a dynamic there, and there is a long tradition of politicians with dogs. So we all know about Boris Johnson with Dylan, and I think Rishi Sunak had a red Labrador. I think of the current crop of party leaders, it's only Nigel Farage that has a couple of Labradors. But yeah, it's something that we have in common with other people, I think. We talk to each other. You see somebody with a dog and you start talking to them. And there is definitely a seam there of communication and of untapped sort of community and comradeship that could be of use to political parties, I guess.
Yeah, Colin, I just remember Nigel Farage as one of his latest campaign videos. He's walking through the countryside with the dog, isn't he? Yeah. We sort of see this, it's almost like, I can't say like an act of patriotism in a weird way, because it's like the countryside walking your dog is something that many adults, voting people, by the way, go out and do as an activity. It's a well-loved British tradition of going for a dog walk in the countryside, isn't it? Do you think our politicians don't pay enough attention to these sorts of groups? I was talking about France earlier on the city of Albi. They've got a dog and owner drinking fountains. I don't know how that would work, but is that the sort of stuff we should be thinking more about?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, Sadiq Khan put some drinking fountains in, didn't he? But I don't think he catered for dogs at all. It's something that I think that an awful lot of people would like to see dog-friendly policies, certainly. And, we are this nation of dog lovers. But I tell you, if you go to the continent, particularly if you go to Germany, it's very commonplace to see dogs in supermarkets, dogs in restaurants, and responsible dog ownership, I think, is a byproduct of a responsible community and responsible society. So, yeah, I'm all for it, obviously, but then I'm slightly biased.
Colin, one more thing. Recently, I saw a council, I won't name them, but they were having a consultation on whether to basically keep dogs out of parks, it seems. Do you think there is a bit of... And I've also seen some silly things recently, like, dogs shouldn't be walked in the countryside to make sure certain communities would feel comfortable, for example. Do you think we're actually going the reverse way that we should be?
Oh, I think they're just some crackpot councils and crackpot ideas about that. It's very un-British. We have a long, long tradition of responsible dog ownership, and long may that continue.
Indeed. Colin Sutton, congratulations today. Well done, my friend, and thank you very much for joining us this evening to talk about man's best friend indeed. Colin, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have a little bit of a dog chat here, shall we? We're all barking mad here anyway, aren't we? Peter, what do you think? Do you think that dogs are actually, I'd love to have a dog, by the way. I just can't, too busy, and I wouldn't want to leave a dog by itself for too long. But do you think politicians miss this sort of 1/3 of adults, who have dogs?
Quick bit of stats. 36% of Brits own a dog. Many millions of others are dog lovers without owning one. You and Colin both skirted around the issue. Dogs are haram in Islam. OK? Right? Yeah. That's a fact. Yeah. And it is local councils who are getting gripped and captured by Islamic nutcases that want to bar them from parks and the such like. And that is the fact. Where there is the influence, where there are huge concentrations of Muslims living there, they are trying to enact these policies.
Aisha, I'll pass them back to you, because Peter's right. I didn't even make the connection for a second there, but there are councils that are thinking of, and as I said, banning.
And they're wrong, because dogs are actually believed, which is less than haram. So, and I know lots of people who own dogs. Literally, there's a few people, they've got dogs, they've got puppies, they're adorable. Muslim people, by the way. And dog ownership is across the Muslim world. It's not just, in the UK or in the European countries as well. And this idea that councils are pandering to... First of all, that's wrong. They shouldn't do this. If this is actually happening, I want to go in and speak to these people in the council and say, what are you doing? Because this is absolutely outrageous. And secondly, I've grown up around animals. I've grown up around dogs, around cats, farm animals, and so on. And all animals are amazing. I love all animals. I have 2 cats myself. And there was a time when I was about to adopt an abandoned dog. It had been abandoned by somebody who just literally, it was actually, I posted about it as well, near Keighley train station. And my 2 nephews found this dog, and it was whimpering, it was sad, and they stayed with this dog until I called a few friends. They sent somebody out, took about 2 hours, and my nephews, both of them, stayed with this dog, kept it company, stroked it, calmed it down, until my friends, the local dog rescue charity turned up. So this idea that Muslims hate dogs and we want to get rid of, that's not true whatsoever.
All right.
And I've just given you a couple of anecdotes.
It's great to hear. That's really good to hear. Thank you. Paul, what do you think of all of this?
Look, dogs aren't political. People are political. What? But people love dogs. Let me tell you something. If you criticise a dog or a cat... I run comedy clubs. I'm a stand-up comedian. There is one thing I will never do, and that is take the mick out of someone's pet. It would end my business.
Red line.
People absolutely love their pets. We're a nation of dog lovers, and I think if you communicate directly with people who walk their dogs, you see it all over X. Certainly my part of X, perhaps I'm in a bit of a bubble. Lots of dog owners who are vehemently against any of the banning of dogs, and I think if you appeal to those, you'll break political lines, political party lines. You will do.
OK. Well, look, coming up, find out which political party leader I've had a bit of a spat with on X/Twitter. Trust me, it's an interesting one. That's next.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, it's a mixed picture across Europe. Rain in places, but also some showers, sunnier across Greece. So some strong winds across Madeira and the Canary Islands with some outbreaks of rain, more so across much of Portugal through Monday. Showers heavy at times across much of the Mediterranean, but drier across Greece. That's where we'll see some sunny spells. And that theme continues really through the week. Best of the sunshine across Greece, highs of up to 17 to 19.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. The week ahead, we start with plenty of cloud and some outbreaks of rain around. Middle of the week turns much more unsettled for all of us, and then something a little bit colder as we go towards next weekend. As we see out this weekend, still got high pressure in charge, but these weather fronts are really bringing in a lot of cloud and some patchy outbreaks of rain, and that's really how we're going to continue as we go through the course of the night. Still some clearer skies across the very far north of Scotland, but for most of us, quite overcast, quite misty and murky in places too, but that cloud will act like a blanket, so quite a mild night to come for most of us, although we could just see a touch of frost up across the far north of Scotland where the skies remain a little bit clearer. So moving into Monday morning across Scotland, a very different start to the day than what we have seen over the weekend, but still maybe some sunshine around across the very far north, but plenty of cloud and some outbreaks of rain too. A few glimmers of sunshine still for the far east and Northern Ireland, but again plenty of cloud here, and a rather grey start for England and Wales with again some mist and murk in places. However, as we go through the course of the day, I'm a little bit more optimistic. We'll see this cloud begin to break up a little bit, especially across East Anglia and southeastern England during the course of the afternoon. But for most of us, it will be rather grey. Maybe some late sunshine just appearing for the far northwest of Scotland. But for most of us, temperatures into double figures. And if we do see the sunshine across the far southeast, we could see highs of 16 or 17 degrees. It's a repeat performance on Tuesday. Again, lots of cloud around, but that cloud will break up a little bit during the course of the day, especially across England and Wales. Scotland and Northern Ireland, rather cloudy with some outbreaks of rain through much of the day, but again, a fairly mild day. And then, as I mentioned, it turns out much more unsettled from Wednesday onwards, but in between the spells of rain, we will see some sunshine at times and temperatures near average.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Joining me now, ahead of The Late Show live at midnight, is GB News' Ben Leo. Ben, welcome to the show, mate. What's coming up tonight?
So in the past hour or so, a massive headache for President Trump and the administration in the fact that oil has just exceeded $100 per barrel. This is the last thing President Trump wanted to happen. It means gas prices all across the United States are now going to be rising, and by the way, in the UK as well as everywhere else. I was just having coffee with an American lady who was complaining that US gas prices are now $3.25 a barrel after the Iran intervention. And I was saying, well, goodness me, you know, count yourself lucky, because us in Britain would absolutely kill for that. But she was saying, well, look, we're not used to that kind of price, $3.25 a gallon. The latest report suggests from Axios tonight that the US is dismayed by Israel's decision to strike Iranian oil depots on Saturday. I'm sure you've seen those pictures of, it looks like Armageddon, it looks like a Hollywood film where the skies are burning, there's smoke billowing, huge flames. There's images from the streets of Tehran where the sewers, where oil has leaked into the sewers from those fires, that the sewers are on fire as well. You had black rain, where the amount of oil going into the atmosphere is producing this sort of oil rain. The US is apparently, reportedly, thoroughly dismayed with Israel for going ahead with those strikes, because the optics of those images getting out is spooking, according to sources from the White House, spooking the oil markets. And that's why tonight oil has now exceeded, for the first time, that big psychological barrier, for the first time in recent months anyway, $100 a barrel, Alex.
Yeah, worrying stuff, and exceptionally worrying here, because to me, Ben, it gives the... This gives Ed Miliband a good reason to say, I told you so, and double down on his pledge to smash us with net zero fees, of course. Is this not the time? America's got massive oil reserves as well. Do you think there'll be baby drilling for that? And do you think it might help encourage our government to drill, baby drill too?
I think you're right with the Ed Miliband tax. I think you get the likes of him, Ed Davey, Zach Polanski saying, well, look at the chaos in America. They start wars. We are subjecting Britain to the behaviour of a despot, tyrant President Trump, who's starting wars everywhere, and our oil and gas prices go up because of activity happening thousands of miles away. President Trump this evening, according to Axios, quote, doesn't like the attack. He wants to save the oil for America. So part of the Iran invasion, much like Venezuela, not the main reason, of course, for the conflict in the first place, but, you know, the oil is a Brucey bonus. President Trump wanted to save the oil. He doesn't want to burn it, and it reminds people of higher gas prices. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be used as a whacking stick from the eco-zealots and the green lobby to push their sort of mad, deranged march to net zero. But an Israeli official, by the way, this is one last bit of colour, very funny. An Israeli official said that the US messaged Israel in some sort of capacity in response to the bombings of those oil depots, simply saying, WTF.
Oh, my goodness, what has happened to the world? Ben Leo, thank you very much. We'll see you in 15 minutes, mate. Interesting stuff. Of course, you know, oil is a big driver, but I think also people forget Iran supplies Russia with oil and it supplies China with oil. And if you really want to zoom out on this war, what you should look at is what America's long-term objectives are, and that's to try and weaken the Chinese march to becoming a superpower that will rival them, and also to try and weaken Putin's hand too. So very interesting stuff. We'll keep our eye on that. Now listen, I did say before the break that I had a little bit of a spat with the party leader, essentially. And, yeah, basically last night we were obviously seeing people respond to this Truth Social post by the President of the United States, slamming Keir Starmer. I talked about Ed Davey, of course, and I just said he put a picture of Churchill up. And I just said on the show here, I just think he's completely out of touch with reality, because Churchill had great relations with the Americans, and of course he told us to stay by their side, the exact opposite of what Starmer did. And then Ed Davies said that I'm triggered and a snowflake. Well, let me tell you at home, and I'll put this out to you, Ed Davey. We invited you to come on the show tonight. Where are you, Ed? Are you triggered? Are you a snowflake? I don't know. Well, it seems like your lack of response to my invitation might indicate one way or another. All right, listen. Party leaders all getting involved in this spat with Donald Trump and Keir Starmer. Peter, oil prices surging. Tony Blair's getting involved. Is there any of them adding any value to this? The damage is done.
Ed Davies probably at a floodlit water park as we speak now. He is largely the most irrelevant person in the country. He's an absolute waste of space, waste of time. But there's a far more very serious matter here. Ben Leo is now calling petrol gas. We must get him home immediately. He needs to be retrained in the use of his vocabulary. He's been out there too long. This is an extremely serious matter. Get Leo home.
Yeah. I think you might be right there, Peter, actually. This, of course, is the original post by Ed Davey in response to Donald Trump. And again, I was saying he's completely detached from reality because, again, for the aforementioned reasons, Churchill had fantastic relationships with the Americans who ended up supporting us in a war. Something we haven't done for the United States, Paul.
Ed Davies, political plankton. I mean, I wouldn't worry about anything that he says. Being criticised by him is about as effective as being criticised by Mr Tumble. He is adding no value to the political scene. He's an unserious man. He's ill-informed. It's counterproductive. His pop at Isabel Oakes shot was pathetic. His pop at footballers was pathetic. All the while, you know, I mean, the idea that this guy would advocate for not helping anybody who didn't contribute to the tax system is one that I've been advocating for about 5 years. It's what people talk about on the right for a lot of the time. But his involvement in this is a complete waste of space. I'll tell you why. Because he has only got 2 attack points, and one of them is Donald Trump. He doesn't like Donald Trump.
And the other one is Nigel Farage. He's got TDS and FDS, Trump derangement syndrome, and Farage derangement syndrome. Aisha, very briefly from you.
So, yeah, I mean, look, he's used his platform, Ed Davies, to make comments and so on. And the bottom line is, because of the increase of reform support, he, as in the Lib Dems, have just been pushed further and further down the political the barometer. So, yeah, so when you look to, OK, who are the main movers and shakers in British politics, it is Reform, it is the Labour Party and the Conservatives. And, and other parties, not just the Lib Dems, your party and everything else, they're just... People aren't taking them in seriously anymore.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. All the establishment parties suffering. As I said to Ed Davey, worry about your poll ratings, mate. Anyway, coming up, Labour's flagship crime and policing bill is now threatening to establish a 2-tier justice system amid a rising tide of violence against public-facing workers. That's coming up next.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Late Edition. I'm just reading your say here. Peter Jeffries says, I'm just paraphrasing, he says, Alex, you certainly are not a snowflake. I know who is Davey, the most useless leader in the UK. That's what Peter Jeffries says. Ed Davey would argue his remarks were part of legitimate political discussion about the role of broadcasters and the tone of political interviewing, of course, wouldn't he? All right, let's talk about the top of the Metro here. Caught Peter's eye, actually, and I think you made a really good observation, Peter. On the top of the Metro, it says, tackling violence against women is a huge personal mission. This is Sir Keir Starmer, who's speaking exclusively to the Metro to mark International Women's Day. Peter, over to you.
In the past 5 days, over 800 people have broken Section 3 of the Immigration Act 1971 and entered the UK without leave to remain via dinghies. So they're illegal immigrants. They're illegals, all of them. We do, tragically, only have to think about Rhiannon White and many others, the children who have been raped, others who have lost their lives at the hands of people who have come into this country illegally via small boats. And Starmer promised to smash the gangs, and he hasn't, and still they continue. So out of that 800, there is undoubtedly amongst them someone who will be a sex offender, possibly someone who will go on to murder someone in this country. And of course, most of the overwhelming victims are women and girls. And for Starmer to have the temerity to come out with this utter hypocrisy on International Women's Day just goes to show that he is unfit to lead and unfit to be in charge of this country.
Aisha, is it tone deaf what he's saying here?
I think, obviously, given Peter's right, people have come in illegally, and we need better strategy in place to tackle the illegal boats that are coming, people coming in through the boats. But the Labour Party, the election manifesto was there was a huge focus on violence against women and tackling it and how to prevent it in the first place, and talking about school kids, which is obviously something of interest to me. And the strategy, we've got 20 million to be invested in strengthening, helping and supporting people and fighting against this scourge of society. And I think going forward, I mean, things like I've campaigned against coercive control, and obviously now it's illegal. There's the forced marriage bill. There's all these strategies in place that are going to protect our women. So we still have to. We're obviously a year and a half in with the Labour government right now. I feel there's still much more to do. Women are still being murdered, women are still being beaten, raped, attacked, and so on. And it's not just people, it's not just women, it's children as well, it's the elderly. We need to do more, definitely.
Paul?
Look, I'm with Peter on this, and I don't trust Keir Starmer as far as I can throw him. I think this is all just platitudes. And the same with Sadiq Khan. I saw Sadiq Khan's tweet today. I just can't abide Sadiq Khan either. These people are just saying sound bites. They're not doing anything about it. In fact, in many cases, as Peter has pointed out, they are enabling it to happen. So I don't want to see this. I'm a father of a 16-year-old young adult, and I don't want to see this at all. But I certainly don't see people like Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan, people of their ilk, doing anything at all other than talking about it in the newspaper.
I think that's a feeling shared amongst many British people. Let's hope they do get on top of it, Aisha, and I'll leave it to you at home to decide whether you trust them to do that. But that's all we've got time for. I'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Patrick's still on his holiday, so I will be here. Unfortunately, for all of you lovely people at home, I hope you've enjoyed. Up next is The Late Show Live with Ben Leo.
Alex, thanks very much. Big fears tonight that the petrol prices in the UK, petrol prices, not gas, thank you Peter Blexley, I've been here too long, petrol prices could top a record of 191.5 per litre, 191 pence per litre in the UK. Oil has now exceeded $100 per barrel. It is the last thing President Trump wanted. He's taken to Truth Social in the past few moments to try and calm the markets. Will it work? We'll find out. See you in a sec.
Everything you need to enjoy a super summer could be on us this year, as you could drive away with this very latest Benivan 4-berth camper van. This camper van is fully equipped with its own kitchen, bathroom, dinette and plenty of storage. We'll also get your summer sorted with a further £25,000 in tax-free cash that you could spend however you like. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British Airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country.
Hello, good morning. Live from Washington, D.C., this is GB News with the stories shaping Britain and America.
I have a feeling it's going to work out very well. They're talking about a very long-term, powerful lease, a very strong lease, and I think we'll be inclined to go along with your country.
Well, that meeting seems like a long, long time ago now. Keir Starmer and President Trump have spoken for the first time just hours after that infamous social media post where the president slammed Starmer over his lack of involvement in Iran, saying we don't need people that join wars after we've already run. They had a phone call this afternoon. All the details on that in just a tick.
This is Michael. I know Michael. I know he loves me. I love him. That's all I knew. So I didn't really, know what was going on.
A world exclusive. A family is launching a lawsuit against the estate of the late Michael Jackson, claiming he abused 5 siblings. GB News has interviews from the son, the daughter and the parents, and I'd love to know your thoughts ultimately on Michael Jackson. gbnews.com/yoursay. Also tonight, breaking, Iran has a new Ayatollah as the hardline son of Khamenei is chosen by clerical leaders. I'll be getting all the details on who he is and, I guess, to be frank, how long he's got before he meets his maker. Also tonight, that, of course, is the opening scene from Star Wars, the Hollywood sci-fi movie. But according to Richard Branson, it's about to become reality. Are we going to be sending troops into space very soon? I'll reveal all. I'm Ben Leo, and this is The Late Show Live. Hello, good morning. Welcome along to The Late Show Live. Joining me tonight in Washington is my panel, the former Foreign Service Officer at the US State Department, Simon Hankinson, and the former advisor to Boris Johnson, Thomas Corbett Dillon. And I'm delighted to say, back home in London, GB News superstar and comedian Paul Cox. Hello, Paul. Nice to see you. Right, before we start the show, let's get into some breaking news that's just dropping. We can bring you some live scenes from Glasgow, where a huge fire has broken out on Union Street. A building at Glasgow Central Station has collapsed. According to reports, we'll get those images for you imminently. Dozens of train services have been cancelled, and these are pictures now from Glasgow on your screens. The station in Glasgow is closed until further notice, and the fire is believed to have started at a vape shop. First Minister John Swinney said on social media, "I'm deeply concerned about the fire near Glasgow Central Station tonight, and I'm very grateful to all of the emergency services who are responding. Please continue to follow travel guidance, avoid the area and stay safe." So just to reiterate very quickly before we move on, a fire has broken out on Union Street in Glasgow. A building apparently at the station at Glasgow Central has collapsed. Dozens of train services cancelled. We'll bring you the latest on that as soon as we get it. Right, let's move on to our main news this evening. So Keir Starmer, our dear Prime Minister, has today spoken to President Trump regarding the conflict in the Middle East. The pair discussed their military cooperation through the US use of RAF bases in support of the collective self-defence of partners, quote unquote. That's according to Downing Street. It comes, of course, following President Trump's comments last night and all week, telling the Prime Minister that the US does not need its once great ally Britain because they've already won the war. Pretty much, we're too late. Let me know your thoughts on this.